Hello, welcome to Around the NBA, presented by the Ultimate Sports Show. I'm Aaron, joined by Manny. As always, Manny got games tonight, had games tonight, I should say. Also, the main Tuesday evening night related to the Lakers and the Dallas Mavericks. That game obviously did not go as planned, I guess. You know, I thought for sure a game would be a lot closer throughout the whole game. Also, other games we're going to get to as well, not just the Lakers and the Mavs, but also we had a few other NBA action tonight, as well as some other news just in sports in general we're going to share with you in a little bit. But obviously, let's start off and get this out of the way, Manny. Lakers were up in this game towards the end, the fourth quarter. And I mean, if you could ask for the worst timing to have a total collapse of letting Dallas come back into a game 11-0 run, turned into a 15-2 run, something like that at the end.
In the last 7 minutes, 15-2 run, yeah.
In the last 7 minutes, it's frustrating for Lakers fans. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating, and it's the whole season right now, I feel like, for them, and just feel like the Laker fans in general. It's just been a very frustrating time right now. It's been a frustrating way. Poor turnover choices. Getting out rebounded, getting killed by the three. Also, not to mention, guys, like Luka Doncic tonight actually kind of looked like a normal average NBA player. Mm-hmm. Only 25 points and 9 for 21. Manny, if Luka was on fire, man, I would have said he would have easily dropped a 40 or 50 piece tonight.
We would have got blown out. That's the only thing I gotta say about that. If Luka Doncic was actually shooting good from the field and shooting good from three, like, mind you, he didn't make a three, so that's a plus side for us. This game could have gone a lot worse. I mean, we did lose, but it could have gone a lot worse. I feel like we could have got blown out by 30. But honestly, my issue with this game, Aaron, is the fact that we had this game in the bag. We were down 21. Yes, we were down 21 points at halftime. But then in the third quarter, we go on a 31-14 run. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, okay, we're actually going to pull this off. We're gonna end our 5 out of our last 6 losses skid. But then the fourth quarter comes, and what's the moral that Lakers Twitter keeps saying and that we all keep saying? Fake comeback. And that's what it was. It was another fake comeback. 15-2 run for the Mavericks in the seventh minute of the fourth.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know what to say. And honestly, like, let me get to the stats like for a second, because I want to go a little deeper into this before I start going on a rant here.
Well,
basically, the Mavericks, they had a good game. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from the Mavericks. Shout out to them. They've been having a good season, even with the fact that they traded Kristaps Porzingis. I was thinking, like, is this team going to fall apart now that they traded Kristaps? But they actually are looking good. I think they've won 4 out of their last 6 games now without him. Honestly, shout out to if you guys haven't known, I'm also kind of a Villanova fan for NCAA basketball, and a former Nova player plays for the Mavericks, and he actually had a great game. Jalen Brunson, 22 points. He shot 4 for 6 from 3, 9 for 15 from the field. Great game from him. And honestly, also shout out to Dwight Powell. I'm from Canada. Got to shout out Dwight Powell. He's from Canada. He had 13 points, 7 rebounds, and he had a perfect shooting night, shooting 4 for 4 from the field. Great night from him. Maxi Kleber, obviously another foreign player outside the United States. He's from Germany. He had a 3 for 5 shooting night off the bench, and also Josh Green, who was a draft pick from last year. He had a 3 for 3 shooting night off the bench, only playing 10 minutes, but still very efficient, which is absolutely incredible from him. And like you said before, Luka Doncic, he didn't have a good game, and we still ended up losing, but that's not here or there. Let me get to the Lakers side of things before we all get into this, basically. Stanley Johnson, shout out to Stanley Johnson. He had a good game. I got to shout out to Stanley Johnson. Ever since we picked him up off waivers, he's been very, very good. Defensively,
really.
And he also has a bit of a spark plug. He had 11 points tonight, shot 3 for 4 from 3. Very good from him, shooting 4 for 6 from the field as well. LeBron James shooting a F *** U threes. 2 of them actually back to back. Not going to say the actual word because we have to keep it professional. But you know what I mean. FFF3. He shot 2 of them back to back. 26 points, 3 for 7 from 3, 10 for 18 from the field. Great game from LeBron. Russell Westbrook. Ugh. The moral of the story, Aaron, this season has been Russell Westbrook. Turnovers and bad shooting nights. And he continues it in 0 for 4 from 3 and shooting 5 for 17 from the field. Mind you, he did have 8 assists, but that's not saying much. Malik Monk, he's been a good pickup in the offseason, only getting him from the minimum. He had 17 points, shooting 3 for 6 from the 3. Austin Reeves, I know we all love his spark plug every night, but tonight he did not shoot very well. But we could all have a bad game then or there, but the Lakers have been very consistent. But one guy I got a shout out also from the Lakers, Carmelo Anthony. Great game from him off the bench, 20 points, 3 for 6 shooting, and 6 for 11 from the field. But other than that, we could just ramble on and on, Aaron, about how inconsistent our Lakers have been this season. But yeah.
They, they're, and this is something, you got to keep it fair. You and I mentioned this to you earlier, but it's noted, we gotta, the fact of the matter is Lakers lost tonight. It's a 48-minute game. It's a 48-minute game, and you know what? You can have the lead for literally a minute, 2 minutes, whatever it may be, and it could be gone at the snap of your fingers. And that's just the bottom line of how basketball is. That's why if you're dedicated to having to stay with this win, which the Lakers, I don't remember. I will have to look into it towards the end of the show, but I have to look at at see when the last Laker win that they had was. They're cruising in the wrong direction, obviously. In many ways, look, you're 27-34 on the year. They're searching for answers that they haven't found, to put it that way. However, on the other side of the opposite end, real quick, is Dallas. However, terrific coach, as former Lakers coach Jason Kidd. Could be the reason why Dallas's defense is so good, and that's a lot of people are a lot of talk. I know some of the TNT guys on the shows were saying there's a reason why the Lakers had such great defense when they were a championship team is because of Jason Kidd, not because of Frank Vogel necessarily. They're seeing that more open up now because you're seeing the defense that Dallas was playing on the Lakers tonight was the same defense the Lakers used to play. You could see it. You could see, how Dallas was going after double teams. They were getting in the passing lanes. They were making life miserable for the other star opponents. They were making everything terrible. And you know what? They were all picking up the pace, even without not having Porzingis anymore, which a lot of people thought, why on all earth would you even do that? As well, they pick up the pace. and they didn't need. They showed exactly why. I mean, Luka said at the end, he says, "We're champion. We have championship style defense," and Dallas is 37-25 on the year, and they're literally. I'm sorry, but they literally played terrific tonight. They played great on the defensive end. They won. They basically won every quarter. There was not any quarter at all that the Lakers won at all. They were in dominant control this whole game pretty much, and Lakers could have won that game at the end. But I mean, when you have a collapse like they do, and you just make wrongful turnovers, wrongful tip passes, just gotta make the easy plays, and it's unfortunate. But you have to say this: soon to be having their own building, which is great for them, is the LA Clippers. Manny, we talked about this earlier, and I'm gonna say this again so everybody knows. Look, Clippers have a better record than the Lakers right now, without their star players, without their star players, their main guys. They're literally playing with their bench. Basically, they're playing with their bench, and I give them credit. And I shout out to Matthew, who's in there. Of course, he's listening to that. Look, the Clippers are 33-31 this year. The Clippers are playing better right now than us because without their guys, and that's where a lot of people are saying, like, what is the deal with the Lakers now? The Lakers, you have your guys, you have your talent. Why isn't the talent hitting the floor? Why isn't it showing up? And don't get me wrong, the Lakers will get a chance to get some revenge against the Clippers later this week. But I mean, and also not to mention they were playing the Houston Rockets. Yeah. And yeah, Matthew, I mean, you said some good stuff as well. Look, it'll be interesting to see what happens when Paul George and Kawhi Leonard come back, see what kind of other team that they are, see where they're at. But also they were playing the Houston Rockets too. But I mean, they're the worst team in the league. But I mean, still, Manny, we give credit where credit's due. I mean, perfect example, like, this is the kind of stuff the Lakers are going to get blamed for. Is they're going to say, look, your other neighbors that are in your building are playing better than you without your stars. Like, there's no legit reason why this can't translate to the floor. But we have some questions here. Yeah, have the Lakers given up on the season? I don't think so. I think you still just got to figure it out. I think you're figuring it out, and not having Anthony Davis in the game either right now, because he was playing great. I mean, he really was trying to get his rhythm back, and he was having some decent games, all because of his ankle. And then he ends
up going down against Utah. It's a shame.
I'm at a loss for words for that.
Honestly, what's there to say about Anthony Davis? He was amazing. He was averaging like 28 a game before he got hurt, but honestly, back to your point on the Clippers. As much as I don't want to admit this, Aaron, they're playing some very good basketball right now. Remember our last show we did? Yeah. I was saying, I think if Kawhi and Paul George were healthy this year, I think they were finals contenders. As much as I don't want to admit this, I think they have a great shot at winning a championship if their whole team is healthy. Because their bench guys, like you said, they are playing their tails off. And honestly, shout out to former Laker Ivica Zubac. He's been really good, especially tonight. I know, like you said, the Rockets are the worst team in basketball at 15-46.
Yeah.
But he did have a very good game, Zubac, with 22 points and 12 rebounds, and he's shooting 8 for 12 from the field. Very good game from him. And also another guy who's been really good for the Clippers. He pretty much won the game for them when he played the Lakers the last time. Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
He can shoot. He can rebound. He can defend. He is such a spark plug. He's basically Austin Reeves that actually shows up on the stats, if you think about it.
Yeah, and also you can't forget about Terrence Mann and Morris.
Marcus Morris as well.
Marcus Morris, the I guess as most people are saying, is the other brother, the better brother that can shoot. Yes, I mean, for this rate, when you're shooting this good and you're averaging about 18 points a game, I don't blame you. I'm going to call you a shooter because, you're playing great.
Mm-hmm.
They have the three guys really. I mean, there are four guys. They got Terrence Mann, Reggie Jackson, Zubak, and Morris. Those guys are basically carrying the load for them.
Yep.
And that's just that's what you do. I mean, if your guys are out, you have to have your other guys step up. You have to. And if your other guys are not going to step up, you're not going to win the games. You're not going to win these games. If the Lakers can't have their other group of people, now mind you, they're also dealing with some, of course, injuries when you relate to the Lakers. There's injuries for them. You have a DNP of a Trevor Ariza. You have a DNP for an injury, and then another DNP for another injury. Or no, coach's decision. Wayne Ellington, Avery Bradley, Trevor Ariza, all guys that seriously could have been out there. Yes, Marcus Morris Sr. Thank you. But, you have these guys that are out there that could seriously play. I mean, you don't have DeAndre Jordan anymore. You're waiting for the other guys that you just signed that the Lakers just acquired. But, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not going to give the Lakers an excuse either because, look, Kendrick Nunn should be coming back as well. We don't know what he's going to bring to that team. We don't know exactly what he's going to come out with. He could be shooting lights out and really surprise everyone and literally be lighting it up like a tree. Or he could just be coming out ice cold. And, I mean, obviously he's got to get his legs together. But, Lakers are the Lakers right now, and there's nothing else. This is their problem to fix. And nobody else can fix that but them.
Who knows if it will get fixed, Aaron? Honestly, I want to stay hopeful, but the way things are looking right now, yikes. And reason why I say yikes is because before we went live, I was actually watching the Access Sports and Lakers postgame, and on the little ticker on they have on Spectrum, it said the past 13 games, Lakers have been 3-10. 13 games, and that is not Lakers basketball at all. And like you said, there should be zero excuse. I don't care if Anthony Davis is out. We have LeBron James playing at a high level. We should be able to close out a few games. The fact that this team's chemistry is out of whack. We went from the best defense in basketball, Aaron. Think about this: best defense in basketball last year to what? The 17th best defense. That's not going to cut it. Like, honestly, yeah, it's a good question for Matthew, honestly. I want to get into this, actually. How long till Vogel gets fired?
Take it away.
Honestly, I think by the end of the season, he's gone. And I'm actually one of the very few minority Laker fans that likes Vogel very much because I'm very grateful for him bringing us that 17th championship.
Of course, rightfully so.
But look, like, one thing we have to talk about, and me and Aaron did talk about this on FaceTime before the game even started. We like Aaron brought up a good point saying that where's Howard been? And I brought up a good point saying where's Ellington been?
Yeah.
So as much as I love Vogel, I can't keep making excuses for the guy. I also have to say he has to play some certain guys that were very key in the bubble, like Dwight Howard. We know how good Dwight Howard was in the bubble.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been playing. But another guy I want to get into, a guy that I'm very disappointed with, more than Vogel, without a doubt, is Rob Pelinka. Like not only is it because like there's certain guys that we could have kept that we didn't, but why did we, Aaron, the question is, why did we end up trading away Rajon Rondo? A good guy who is a great locker room presence, a good backup point guard, and we traded him for what? A freaking guy who's never going to make the NBA. A guy who's like, what, in China? Or Europe? I don't even know what this guy's name even is that we got.
I think they realized it just wasn't a good signing for him. Maybe it was just, it could also be just be money aspect too, as they just said, look, let's free up a little bit of money and let's give Rondo a chance. Let's give Rondo a chance to go somewhere else, go play with Atlanta. And I don't think it was a bad idea because the Lakers technically were already old anyhow. So the Lakers technically gave him up for a younger guy that's not going to see anything right now anyhow.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have another question here. So if you fire Vogel, well, this is a good question as well. Who's the next Lakers coach? That I will just say this now. Manny will hate me to say this again as well.
Oh God.
If the Lakers, call me this right now, the Lakers can Vogel, David Fizdale is probably going to be the runner-up.
Oh God.
Probably the runner-up. Why? Because because LeBron already said literally I'm not going anywhere. They're not going to do it. Nobody's going to trade him. No, they're not going to trade him. The Lakers are not going to trade LeBron. They're not going to trade Davis. I'll put it this way, a bigger picture here. The Pelicans, when Davis was with the Pelicans, was getting injured all the time. Did New Orleans trade him away because he was getting hurt all the time?
No.
No, they kept him, and he was still. And when he was healthy, he was putting up numbers. When he wasn't, he was looking like Andrew Bynum of the Lakers in the years past. Problem solved. But he's not going to go anywhere. Those are your two guys who are trying to build a team around. You're trying to build the identity of having a championship team back. I think David Fizdale has a very good connection with LeBron because of his time with Miami. I think he has a great chance at coming back as well, or has a chance at being a front runner-up as the head coach of the Lakers because it's somebody LeBron trusts as well and has a good relationship with already.
Thing is,
go on.
Aaron,
I know what you're gonna say. Go for it.
I'll be honest with you. If a new coach were to come on the team next season, I would obviously welcome him with open arms because obviously I am like you, a big Laker fan, and I want this team to succeed. But my issue with David Fizdale was his past coaching stint, like head coaching stint. I mean, not assistant coach because he was an interim coach this year when Vogel wasn't able to coach in December. But I'm saying full-time coach David Fizdale on the Knicks was a disaster. And I know a few Knicks fans, and they said they hated him. And yeah, that's my only criticism about Fizdale. But I'm just hoping he makes good rotations. If Dwight Howard comes back next offseason, I don't know if he will because he's not playing much. So I don't think he'll come back. But if he does, I'm just hoping if David Fizdale is the coach, he actually starts him at the 5 and not making him hang cold and dry on the bench or just making him a DNP. I'm hoping Wayne Ellington plays because OG Laker fans are going to like me saying this. 2014, even though that was a horrible season where we only had 27 wins, Wayne Ellington was one of our bright spots that season. He was shooting lights out from the three-point line. He averaged, I think, 12 points a game on great efficiency. So we all know what Wayne Ellington can do. Yeah. So I want to see him get minutes. We need offense. Defense, yes, our defense is in the middle of a pack and it could be better. But our biggest issue this season, Aaron, and all of our viewers right now, is offense. We're 26th in the league in offense? That's not going to cut it. We have snipers on our team, and we can't score. How does it make any sense that we have 7 minutes left in this game tonight, and we give up a 15-2 run after going 31-14 in the third quarter? Yeah. Aaron, it boggles my mind. I don't know what to say anymore about this offense.
Well, I mean, as Matthew will vouch for, is like I told you earlier, it's a 48-minute game. Leads can change. Perfect example. Not to necessarily just go back to the Clippers, but the Clippers were down. I forgot what team it was, and I'm sure that I know somebody in the chat will tell me which game it was.
Probably gonna be Matthew.
Clippers were down. Clippers were down by 30, I believe. I'm pretty sure 30 this year. They're down by 30, literally, and the game was everyone thought this is a wrap. This is over. Over. They're done. They're gonna lose this game. They came back and won the game by 10 with no Kawhi Leonard and no Paul George. Takes the heart, the hustle, the energy The shoot, obviously shots, taking great shots. You know, and you could win. The Lakers could have come out there and win this game tonight. It'd have been a little bit of a completely different atmosphere because they could have said, "Hey, we won. Now we gotta win. We just basically have to win every game, at least every game or almost every series the way, to get in to have a chance, like a bare minimum chance of getting in the last playing game, which is obviously shout out to the league that's been doing this play-in tournament that's decently worked well and actually made teams like the Lakers and other teams that are lower in the Western Conference right now say, look, we got to play. Like, we have to play. If you want a chance to make it to the playoffs, you got to actually play and you got to win these games, because doesn't matter. You might be playing a better team that's seated higher than you, and you're going to say, well, I have to beat them one way or the other. So, it's a lot of things to figure out, but we're gonna actually keep on moving on. But the Lakers lost this game tonight, a 109-104 to the Mavs. Let's get on to the Warriors and the Timberwolves. A 129-114 Minnesota over Golden State. I think what Karl Anthony Towns this year is doing is unbelievable, man. He had 39 points tonight. They had control basically almost the whole game. I mean, it was somewhat close in the second half where, points differential, but primarily Minnesota had control of this game tonight. They played great. Karl Anthony Towns, man, he has been out of his mind this year. I mean, he's been putting up numbers. Andrew Wiggins has been putting up numbers this year. Even Gary Payton II has been playing well, just like his dad. I mean, there's nothing that I haven't seen this year from Minnesota that, even when the Lakers have played them, it's just they're just a good team, and I think a lot of people sometimes underrate them just because of their record.
Well, they underrate them because of their record, but also it's because of the market they play in too. Like, when you think of Minnesota, you don't really think of like basketball. You think more of like hockey and stuff because it's such a cold state. It's basically the Quebec of the U.S. if you think about it. But anyways, Minnesota has been very surprising, and Karl Anthony Towns has been out of his mind. He had 39 points tonight, and he has been ridiculous, not only scoring wise, but how many traditional centers, Aaron, do you know that are able to shoot the three ball with ease? Karl Anthony Towns can shoot the three ball with ease.
Yeah,
every
crazy.
night that I look at the box scores of Timberwolves games, this guy is just shooting over 40-something% from three every night. He's literally like the Steph Curry of big men. He's able to shoot. And not only that, but even D'Angelo Russell too. He's been bouncing around the league a bit in his whole career. And ever since 2 years ago, he found his home in Minnesota.
Oh yeah.
They've been a great 1-2 punch combo. But honestly, in my opinion, Aaron, Timberwolves can be an even better team once Anthony Edwards gets healthy.
That's true.
Because Ant-Man is a great young player. And in my opinion, I actually called that draft right back in 2020. I said he was going to be the number one pick, and he was the number one pick. He actually plays like a number one pick. He's not only a highlight reel because he can dunk, and he has great highlights on SportsCenter, obviously, but even in games, he's just such a hardworking player. He's not only called Ant-Man because Anthony Edwards, but Ant-Man because he's basically like an ant. He never dies on the court. He just keeps going. He keeps going. He's just so much energy and so much spark plug in him. But honestly, also to talk about the Warriors even, who was, by the way, my pick to come out of the West, they are absolutely insane. I said in our preseason ranking that they would be a top 2 seed in the West, and they are currently the second best team in the West. And I said it when Klay comes back from injury. Mind you, he hasn't been playing lately, but I said when he came back from injury from those 2 years of hiatus that he had, this team was going to go fly. Even though they lost, they have been incredible. 43-19, that's like something the Lakers did back in 2020. So much good chemistry, so much good shooting, so much good defense. Steph Curry, by the way, shout out to him, obviously, for getting that Kobe Bryant All-Star MVP. He had 50-something points in that game, but tonight having 34 points. Mind you, he did not shoot well from 3 tonight, but if you're Steph Curry, it's fine if you have an off-shooting night because Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. So for him to have an off-shooting night, it's not the end of the world for him. But honestly, Andrew Wiggins he found a great home in Golden State, obviously. He is an all-star. Mind you, he didn't have the greatest game tonight, but it happens. But then also, back to what you were saying about Gary Payton II. He's been bouncing around the G League, bouncing around in NBA teams, but he finally found his home. He's been that great defensive energy bunny that his father once was on the Lakers and on the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't forget about the Sonics.
Facts.
But no, I think it's great. You know what though? I think with Minnesota, like obviously, look, Minnesota, great win against obviously the red hot. I mean, putting it mildly, the red hot Warriors that look like they're back to prime and prim and proper playing at 43-19 on the year, best record in the league by far.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I think the biggest thing, at least from this wrap up from this game, is I think if Minnesota just keeps their talent, you just got to keep the talent that they have now. I think that's been the problem in the years past. That they have all this talent that comes through there, or that gets traded there, and it's either money that they're not willing to give, or it's or they think, oh, we're gonna better ourselves by trading this away to get under the luxury tax. You know what? If you've been terrible for so many years and you finally have a team and you're gonna bite the bullet a little bit to pay in luxury taxes more money to have a decent team in Minnesota. I mean, yes, Minnesota has baseball and they have basketball along with hockey, but also, people want to see the Timberwolves. Like they've had such on and off years with Rubio when Rubio was there in his prime, and it's just they've never had that consistent uphill of like, okay, where else can they go from here? Like obviously it'd be great to see them someday win an NBA championship. Like it'd be great. It's just different teams coming out there and giving it your all. I think if I'm the Timberwolves, I'm just going to keep playing this great ball. They've been doing a terrific job this year. But yeah, we're going to shift our focus now to the Nets and the Raptors. Nets lost that game 109-108. Toronto won a very close game. It was actually pretty close throughout the rest of the game, except for the fourth quarter. Ran away a little bit from Brooklyn. We got to talk about Brooklyn for a minute. With everything that's been going on, obviously they were out without Steve Nash with the health and safety protocols. But the way the Nets have been playing, obviously, because after they made their trades and after they did everything, I think it was a great fit for what they did. Obviously, I mean they've been playing decent. I think, and also related to Brooklyn, they should be lifting. They're going to hopefully lift a little bit more of the ease on the restrictions out there in New York, which would allow Kyrie Irving to suit up and get out there and ball with his guys, because obviously that team is different from day in and day out when Kyrie's in the game versus when he can't play. And I think Brooklyn's, I think they've been playing solid. They're obviously their record's not exactly what everyone thought it would be. But I think it's still a win for their franchise right now with the moves that they made with trading Harden away.
Well, honestly, they've been in a bit of a slump, but that's only because they've had KD, Kyrie, and Simmons all out for so long. They're gonna be fine once those guys come back. But honestly, even though their guys aren't playing, they're kind of like the Clippers of the East. They have their guys out, and they're still playing very competitive basketball. Mind you, they're not winning like the Clippers are lately, but they're still making things competitive. Like, their bench guys are actually showing up. Like, shout out to, obviously, You guys know who? Oh no, not I meant. I meant to say James Johnson. I was gonna say Joe Johnson, but honestly, James Johnson has been really good as well for them. 19 points, shooting 3 for 5 from 3, 7 for 11 from the field. Great game from him. Obviously, a guy that was obviously a great player in his prime. He had a bunch of heart problems in the last season. Glad to see him back on the court in LaMarcus Aldridge. He had 16 points and 9 rebounds. Kind of a typical stat line for LaMarcus Aldridge. Mind you, he's past his prime now, but I'm actually very happy to see LaMarcus Aldridge healthy because it's obviously sad. Nobody wants to see anybody go through heart problems. Like, it's a serious thing. And then obviously we were talking about Steph Curry, but let's talk about his brother Seth Curry, who is obviously, yes, the poor man Steph Curry, but he is a great shooter as well. With 18 points tonight, 2 for 6 from 3. Yeah, I know he missed 4 threes, but Seth Curry is obviously a great bench player and a guy who you want on a championship team. And they've been playing very well, the Nets, even though they're on a bit of a skid without their guys. But anyways, let's talk about the Toronto Raptors a bit. Obviously, shout out to Canada. And one guy we got to talk about, obviously, on the Raptors is the 4th overall pick this year, who is, even though he's not my pick to win Rookie of the Year, he is definitely a dark horse candidate to win the Rookie of the Year award in Scotty Barnes. He has been absolutely amazing this season with 18 points, 10 rebounds, 8 for 13 from the field. I think he fits so well with Toronto just because he has that defensive presence, along with Siakam, along with Kem Birch, along with Malachi Flynn, and Gary Trent Jr. By the way, Gary Trent Jr. is an amazing pickup for them. I said in the deadline last year that Gary Trent Jr. was such a great pickup for them because I know a lot of people here that are Raptors fans, and I was telling them, you guys did an amazing trade to get him. And obviously, a guy that they got in the trade deadline this year in Thaddeus Young, who in my opinion was another really good trade for them. Mind you, they did give up a first, but Toronto's having a good season. It's not like it's not like they obviously need a first round pick. Yeah. But Thaddeus Young is a great bench player, having 11 points. He can shoot the 3 very well. He shot 2 for 3 tonight, 4 for 9 from the field as well. He had a bit of even though it was like in 23 minutes. Basically the 6th man, pretty good. And then obviously, shout out to my Montreal boy, Chris Boucher, having 8 points, 6 rebounds, shooting 3 for 6 from the field in 19 minutes. Very good game from him as well. And honestly, great win from the Raptors. They've been playing very well. I don't think anybody really saw this coming from the Raptors. Like, I predicted them to be a play-in team. I didn't think they were going to be like around hovering like the 5th and 6th seed, which is pretty good for them in my opinion.
Yeah. I think I think it's going to be, I think honestly, like, even the Raptors this year, obviously they have a winning record as well, obviously not that high. I think they're going to be an interesting team as well. We'll see what kind of talents they have later on as we get closer to the end of the regular season. Get into the Hawks and then the Celtics, and then the last game would be the Wizards and the Pistons. Celtics 107-98. Celtics are playing some decent basketball as well. Obviously, Atlanta's been going through their struggles as well with injuries and just the way they've been doing. But obviously, just the way that Boston's been playing. I mean, Jason Tatum, man, I feel like he's channeling his inner Mamba in him. Obviously, Kobe meant so much to him, and he just been playing out of his mind. 33 points tonight, 3 for 10 from 3, 12 for 25 overall. And you know what? I just think he's that key to making that team good. I think just the bottom line, like, that team is good because of him.
Young stud and Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
He obviously, like you said, Kobe meant so much to him. That was his idol growing up. And I find he like the way he plays a lot like Kobe. Obviously, he's nowhere near Kobe, obviously, but
Oh yeah.
like the way he plays, like just if you watch like Celtics games, the way he like moves the ball, the way he walks like Kobe, the way he shoots like Kobe, it's very very similar. And obviously, they would not be where he's at if not for him, because he has been lights out this year. And in my opinion, if the Celtics keep winning, he could be in the running for MVP. He could be, because he's
Yeah.
actually a very good player. And in my opinion, I just don't admit this because it is the Celtics. Jason Tatum is by the way a top 15 player in the NBA. Even though we don't like to admit this, he is a top 15 player in the NBA, and he deserves all the recognition that he gets. And then obviously another guy we got to talk about is Marcus Smart. Not only
Yeah.
can he score, but he is obviously one of the best defensive guards in all of basketball. He can really be a pest on defense and also score the ball. And he had a good game tonight with 16 points, shooting 6 or 14 from the field. But then obviously another guy that played very well and who is also their newest acquisition at the deadline, again from the San Antonio Spurs, Derek White. I didn't think they were gonna trade for another guard, the Celtics, because they have a bunch of
Yeah.
guards already.
Yeah.
But Derek White has been very good, and he is such an underrated player. I think he's like what 24, 25 years old, and he's just adding to that young nucleus on Boston with 18 points, 7 for
27.
13 from the field, 5 assists. He's playing very well. But then back to the Atlanta Hawks, obviously,
Yeah.
who in my opinion are the Lakers of the East. They got their team together. Mind you, they have been, like you said, they have been dealing with injuries and COVID issues, but come on, they have Trae Young playing, they have Kevin Huerter playing, they have DeAndre Hunter playing, they have Danilo Gallinari playing, Forza Italia, and they also have Clint Capella playing. But come on, like you can't keep losing games like this, even Atlanta, especially when you have a sniper, a young Steph Curry and Trae Young, who can just light it up from anywhere. Like mind you, he did have 31 points and 12 for 25 from shooting. But come on, like
Yeah.
your other guys got to show up as well. Like the fact that Gallinari had 1 for 4 from 3, Kevin Herter 1 for 5 from 3. Mind you, Bogdan Bogdanovic played well with 25 points and shooting 3 for 9 from 3 in 37 minutes. But I just feel like the other team has got to contribute. That's exactly. Like I said, Aaron, they're basically the Lakers of the East. It's basically LeBron James. Like Trae Young's basically on that team is LeBron James, and the rest of the guys just show up when they feel it's convenient for them.
Yeah, it's sad. It's you gotta show. Even if you lost by a close game, like look, bottom of the line. At least if it was super close and you battled it out and so on and so forth, it was whatever the case may be. They won by 1, you won by 3, whatever. At least it was a close game, and I think that's something that like people want to see more. I think people want to see. They don't want to see the teams that just check out. And I feel like Atlanta's just checked out this year. I
Yep.
just the Atlanta looks like the Lakers really. I mean, they literally look pretty well. I mean, you kind of hit it right on the spot. They really look like the Lakers of the East, where they just kind of just it is what it is. We're trying, and if we lose, if we actually win the first start of the opening quarter and then still end up losing the rest of the game, it just doesn't matter. You can't play 12 minutes of basketball and expect to just win a game. You have to play it all the way to the end. Like, yes, it's not how you start, it's how you finish it, but you have to be consistent through the whole game. I don't feel like the Hawks have really been consistent at all throughout the whole year.
Totally agree.
Yeah, our last game, then we're gonna wrap it up here. 116 to 113, Washington over Detroit. Washington, obviously, this year's been going through their struggles as well, along with obviously Detroit. We know what Detroit's been doing. That's everybody. I think we all know where Detroit's at with their season. But I mean, Washington this year at 28-33. Obviously, you got the cruise control with them. You have KCP over there. Those guys. I mean, you can't ever say enough. Obviously, how good and how valuable those guys are. Obviously, shout out to Kyle Kuzma tonight. Got to give the former Laker some love. 21 points in the game tonight. And obviously KCP as well with 15 points in the game. But they're just, Washington's record might not show exactly what you're thinking. Like, okay, you're going to put together these guys that came from this team. You're giving them all starting minutes. And then all of a sudden, hey, you want this to translate every night. You should be 20 games over 500. Well, no, you still got to. There's still the training wheels. There's still the learning of Westbrook, what he had with the Wizards last year, trying to get them to play some better ball, trying to give them motivation and give them the urge to say, cool, I want to make a playoff seed. We're gonna make the playing game. We're gonna have a chance to get in the playoffs. And I mean, we were talking about that off the air too, about the playing tournament, like how beneficial it's been, and it's just giving your teams, giving an opportunity to play and showing what you can do later on. The Wizards obviously did that. The Wizards tried, they made it to the tournament, ultimately lost last year. But I mean, the Wizards are really trying, and I mean, look, they're winning. Their schedule is not easy at all for the rest of the season. But they're going out there and competing. I mean, obviously, when you're playing Detroit, you better take care of business, to say the least. But I mean, they're going out there and playing their asses off, man.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the Wizards have been. Yes, they have been going through their struggles, but obviously, yes, totally agree with you. We got to give Kyle Kuzma every single credit there is. Even though I'm not the biggest Kyle Kuzma fan, I actually had times as a Laker fan where I would obviously call him out in some games. But this year, he's been very good, Kuzma, shockingly. But I knew this was going to happen. Usually, when a young player does leave the Lakers, they do end up shining. And Kyle Kuzma's doing that. Tonight is a perfect example of that. He had 21 points with 9 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 7 for 15 from the field. But obviously, shocking stat here, Aaron, most people on the Wizards tonight scored in double figures. Corey Kispert had 11. Daniel Gafford had 12. Raul Neto had 13. KCP had 15. Rui Hachimura had 11. Thomas Bryant had 16. Ish Smith had 11. So, Washington is a very good scoring team. And I think they're top 10 in scoring in the NBA. So, this shouldn't fairly be a surprise to all of us. But it's actually very good to see. And especially that Bradley Beal has not played this season because of injury. Can you imagine if Bradley Beal was healthy playing this season? The Wizards would be a huge surprise, and I mean big time surprise this season. They'd probably be hovering the 4 or 5 seed. And then obviously the Pistons, like I said, we know what direction they're at. They're in rebuild mode, but obviously they have a great young core, and not going to take anything away from that. Cade Cunningham, I've been scouting this kid since he was in high school in Montverde Academy. Yeah. I don't know really if you remember this, Aaron, but I told you many times off the air how good this kid was going to be before he got drafted, and he has been having a great season. And tonight is a great understatement of that, with 20 points, having 9 rebounds. This guy's a point guard, and he's just able to get so many boards in every single game that he's been playing. I caught a few Pistons games this year just because I like to watch Cade play, and yes, he is a great rebounding guard. And not only that, but even Saddiq Bey, obviously, like we talked about with Jalen Brunson, shout out to Villanova. Saddiq Bey, obviously another great player with 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 for 5 from 3, 7 for 14 from the field. Honestly, the fact that he has length as well helps as well, because, the Pistons are not really known for their length much. I'm glad they had Jeremy Grant over the years, but the fact that they drafted Isaiah Stewart and Saddiq Bey helps their length a lot, and now they're a bigger team, which could actually help them in the future as well, in my opinion. And also Isaiah Stewart too. 9 points, 9 rebounds, one point and 1 rebound away from a double-double. Great game from him. And then obviously another guy who's another great bench player that they have. In my opinion, he doesn't really fit their timeline, but he's also a good bench player in Kelly Olynyk with 10 points and 4 for 5 from shooting. Pistons are in a good direction, and they got a great young core. I feel like they're going to be a good team in the next 4 years from now.
Absolutely. That's going to do it for basketball for Around the NBA. But we are the Ultimate Sports Show. So we have to mention something that is actually, necessarily not related to basketball. But it's just related to sports that everyone loves as well. As you guys know, Ultimate Sports here, we do cover baseball. Major League Baseball is a big part of this show as well. And we do have to share this because it's part of. We know what it's like. The NBA's experienced something similar to this as well, with a lockout and with a shortened season as well.
Oh
yeah. But obviously, as of today, the Major League Baseball decided to suspend the part of the regular season for baseball to shorten up at least the first 3 game series of the year, because ultimately it comes down to the players union and it comes down to agreeing to both sides. And Major League Baseball and the Players Association has not. We thought there was going to be a deal that was going to be close. It just ended up not being there. And you know what? It's sad because baseball's a big part of it. A lot of people look forward to opening day. I sure do as well. And I know a lot of people in our chat as well that love baseball. And Manny, you of all people, growing up as a baseball fan as well. But I think you have to, in this day, like someone was asking me, this is what do you look forward to? What can you look forward to? And I just say hope. Hope that we can get a deal done. Hope that there can be a deal that gets done. It's a big part of the game. It's America's pastime. And all you can do is be hopeful that there's not too many games that are going to be shortened out and not hopefully too short of a season this year, because it would have been really nice to see a full 162 games played this year.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see baseball back, but obviously the baseball's a business and the collective bargaining agreement is a part of sports. Well, I remember how crazy devastated we were in 2012 when half the NBA season was locked out. Then in 2013, I live in Montreal, so I know a lot of people that were devastated that the NHL had a bit of a lockout shortened season. Mind you, a lot of people were happy because Montreal was a top seed, but what do you want to do?
Exactly. And you know what? The bottom of the line here is, all you can be as a fan. As a fan, all you can do is just say, look, just have a deal done that's made, that's something that you can find common ground on. And I feel like that's every sport. I feel like that's what basketball had to do. That's what hockey had to do. And this is what baseball have to do. And you know what? Let's just hope they can come to an agreement soon. But definitely needed to be shared here right on the Ultimate Sports Network and the sports show as well. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Make sure if you already are following, then great. But if you aren't following us, make sure you're following our pages as well as our Instagram page as well, the Ultimate Sports Show, and us on Facebook as well. That is going to do it for us tonight, for Manny and myself. We will talk to you guys tomorrow because, Manny, I think we got some more basketball tomorrow, right?
Oh, hell yeah. Yes, we do.
Oh, yes, we do. And guess what? I think we got a good game tomorrow because guess what? It's the Trailblazers and the Phoenix Suns, the Red Hot Phoenix Suns. That's on ESPN tonight or tomorrow at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So we will catch you afterwards for post game for those reactions and a bunch more NBA games. We'll talk to you tomorrow, guys. Have a good night.
Peace.